Hi, everybody. This is Dee Dee Russell with WeddingVenueOwners.com and the Wedding Venue Owners and Management community on Facebook. Close to 6,000 wedding venue owners and managers in that community sharing strategies for success, knowledge, support, and a sense of community. Remember, you're not alone on your wedding island. You have an entire community of wedding venue colleague support in our group, so make sure you find us online. Today, I'm so excited to introduce you all to Indemn. This is a wedding insurance, well, I don't want to put words in your mouth. I'll let you guys explain all of it from A to Z so I don't muddy the waters and say anything incorrect. But if you'll please introduce yourselves this morning.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kyle Geoghan, the co-founder of Indemn. So we are a wedding insurance platform. We're expanding to event insurance and additional products after that, but we're focused on weddings now. And I'm coming from a family of insurance agents, and I worked at a technology company where we were trying to build online insurance for small businesses. And I really just love creating digital products for people to interact with. And so the business is about 2 years old, and we chose wedding insurance as our first product. And there's a multitude of reasons, but one big one is that there isn't a lot of knowledge about what the product is, how to use it, where to get it. And so we knew we had an opportunity with our conversational system. So what we've created is a platform where individuals can they can ask any question they have about the product. They can go through an underwriting experience and generate a customized quote and then buy it online. I went through about a year of a research process finding the right product. And so the partnership we've made with Markel means that we've got the best product in the market, especially for event venues. It's a simply written product, and it's got less exclusions and in a particular endorsement for event venues to be able to make a claim right on it. I'll let Mitchell introduce himself and produce a little bit more detail on that.
Hey, everybody. As Kyle mentioned, my name is Mitchell Bussey. I'm the event insurance manager here at Indemn. I have going on over 8 years of experience in insurance, specifically event insurance as well. So I've had quite a bit of time and knowledge within this space. Over that time, event insurance specifically has been one of my main focuses. And I actually spent a lot of that time at a company named Markel, which many of you may be familiar with, as they are a large key player within the event insurance space. I was an underwriter there, and the event product was my main focus. So I've seen firsthand really how those products work, the advantages and disadvantages of those programs, and have real live experience of claims that are submitted through those, what it looks like, how deep those claims can get, and really what protection a policy can provide, not only to the hosts that are buying those policies, but the venues that are requiring their hosts to get them as well. And so we're looking forward to partnering and being that source for venues. And we have a lot of knowledge and expertise to help you guys along the way require that for your guests.
Well, I'm so glad you guys could join us. Insurance has been a topic that we have really tried to provide a lot of education and resource on. No matter how much information we put out there, there are still so many questions. Venue owners are getting a lot of bad advice. And I want to tell my venue owners out there, never rest on one opinion with insurance if it sounds too good to be true. So some of those sounds too good to be true pieces of advice are: you don't really need it. You have homeowners insurance that will cover you perfectly. Your vendors don't need insurance. Your couples don't need insurance. You're covered. What would you advise couples, or I'm sorry, wedding venue owners and wedding venue management teams when they hear advice like this?
Sure. So obviously, insurance can sometimes get a little bit boring and out of the way, but when you really get down into it, there's a lot of interesting things to think about, a lot of unique ways that you can protect yourself and also pass along that protection to other parties. As a venue, you are a business, and usually most venues have their own business coverage, which, yes, that can probably provide coverage if something happens at an event that one of your guests is using for their weekend or their party that they're hosting. However, because that person is hosting an event, they are bringing on their own responsibilities. They have a responsibility themselves to be covered, and they should be appropriately covered, which is something that you as a venue, just as good business practice, should require. You don't necessarily need to take on all of their risk that they are bringing. And so those hosts, those people that are coming to have their wedding, to have their party, should have some responsibility on themselves as well. And that's specifically what an event liability policy is meant to do. The same thing is said for vendors, an outside source bringing in exposures that aren't necessarily your own, they should be responsible for covering those. And that's what event and vendor insurance is for. And I think one thing that a lot of people don't realize is that even if you don't require insurance and you're just going to rely on your own business insurance policy, that ultimately can hurt you in the long run. Not only will it cause the exposures to fall on you, but your eligibility and your pricing for insurance as a business will continue to go up. And so if you continue to file claims through your own business insurance policy, your rates for your business insurance will go up. And at some point, likely the carrier that you're with will say, all right, you've had too much claims. So we're just going to kick you off and you're not going to have a policy anymore. And there's no need to have that happen. And so requiring event insurance for your guests passes that exposure over and allows those clients to assume some of the responsibility that they're bringing into your space.
Kyle, do you have some to add to that? I mean, it's such a big topic, and it's so interesting that that piece of advice continues to happen. I travel all over the country. I think I'm up to 25, 26 states now where I've visited wedding venues, toured them, met the owners, and the amount of time that I hear somebody advise them that their whatever insurance is plenty, and it doesn't say event insurance anywhere. It doesn't say liability, risk, any of those things. And you have 100 to 200 people coming into your investment. I mean, think about it. You're taking your investment, your retirement, what you feed your children with, what you live off of. You're taking that and saying, I trust 200 strangers to not do anything to put my future at risk. And somebody has advised him it's perfectly fine not to have your couples carry insurance and the vendors carry insurance. What do you say to that, Kyle?
I think with a long enough time frame of a perspective, you really should be requiring this insurance every time. It protects you in your major investment in your life. And it's true that you're lending your property to a group of hosts, and then all the vendors they hire and all the people that want to come and have a good time. And there's all kinds of circumstances that could result in a loss or an injury to somebody. And it's not your fault, but even if it isn't your fault in any form, you still might have to defend yourself, especially if it's a group of people or a business that's going after you with deep pockets. The other thing to consider is that not all of these insurance products are equal. And so it's important to understand what the options are. Wedding and event insurance is a small part of the overall insurance market. There's maybe a dozen players at the most. And then there's a few that have really focused on it. And that's the reason we're really excited to present Markel as our primary program partner. You do need a brokerage, and there are examples where, a fireworks provider or maybe somebody who is baking a cake that's a sister without a business, they need a different product than standard, and we can help those too. But when it comes to the typical host and event that you have, you either end up with a policy, it might be the cheapest in the market that's been modified from, a business general liability. It ends up being 80 pages with dozens of exclusions, and you just worry about the kind of outside circumstances where a policy like Markel, built exactly for wedding and event programs, it's only about 10 pages. It's very clearly what's covered and what isn't. You know that you're protected. And when the time comes that you can actually make a claim on that policy and not on your own, because even if you do have coverage, you might be doubling your premiums if you have to use that coverage to defend for something that a host actually caused.
So I wanted to address one thing that I thought came to mind while you were talking. Another thing that I hear frequently is when something does go wrong. Somebody was hurt on the dance floor. Somebody consumed alcohol, not even at your venue, but at a different location, but then had alcohol related issues. And now your venue is dragged into it because somewhere along the line, I mean, that's an issue that comes up a lot, and people don't realize they are still liable if somebody moved on to a different location and continued to consume and had an accident or issue. Your venue can be dragged into that. I have also had venue owners contact me after a fire or a loss of property or natural damage, some of those things, and realize that they have already been insured, but their insurance carriers or providers or whomever as their representative has maybe moved on, and their policy just kind of sat there without anyone updating it. And now the coverage they have is 10-year-old coverage, and it just kept repeating. So they were paying into it, but they didn't realize they did not increase their coverage, and their coverage was there, but it didn't cover everything. So for all of those people who are currently insured, what is a conversation you would have with them as to how you could still benefit and provide them, maybe something that they don't realize they're missing?
Well, Mitchell might have some more points, but one thing that came to mind when you brought this up is BYOB coverage. So there are distinctions in these policies where many of them will only provide liquor liability coverage. They'll only defend you if you had a licensed business serving that alcohol. Now, the policy we have, it includes BYOB. There's a few others that do as well. And that's a really important component, an endorsement that you might need, or at a minimum, not having that exclusion in the policy. Mitchell, does anything else come to mind for you?
Yeah, and then another thing that you noted, a good piece was, Dee Dee, that you mentioned about people having these business policies that they've had for years and years, and maybe they're not adequate coverage. So while that is a separate conversation, of course, that we can help discuss as well, but that kind of highlights another good point as to why requiring insurance is such a beneficial factor for you as a venue, simply because if the own business insurance policy kind of falls beneath the cracks and you forget about it, and maybe there's not adequate coverage fully for your venue, if you are requiring your guests to obtain event insurance, typically the standard requirement policy is around $1 million. It's a pretty high limit, and in most cases will cover usually just about anything that were to happen. By requiring that, that protection is there from something that happens at an event, property damage, something as extreme as a fire, somebody getting hurt from an alcohol-related incident. All of those things are covered within the primary policy that we provide through our platform. And so that requirement, even if you kind of forget for a year or two about your own policy to update those limits, that $1 million policy at least can be a protection layer for you if that's a requirement that you have for your guests.
Okay, great, guys. So I know that you all have a demo for us, because seeing is believing, and I love that you guys are here taking time with us today to share some of this great information with our venue owners. It absolutely keeps me up at night wondering which ones of our venue owners, and sometimes it's city by city, entire cities that are just not used to asking for insurance or requiring it or being covered. So if you've been thinking about getting coverage, or you are not sure what you need, Indemn, we're going to put all the contact information at the end of this video and throughout it so that you have contact information. But I believe Indemn is going to work with us on some education pieces as we go forward so that we can answer all your questions. But today we get to have a short demo. Of course, when you call Indemn, you are going to get a lot more time and a lot more, time to ask and answer questions. And, every state and every city is different. So Indemn has to be experts on those different variations. So we're going to get a demo today, but if you are curious about insurance, or you need to elevate or expand your insurance, we're going to get the demo, and then you're going to get contact information so you can ask and answer questions later. So guys, we shared screen. I'd love to see what you all are offering on your platform.
Of course. So I will bring that up here. Thank you for that, Dee Dee. And so of course, we are a resource for you guys to ask questions, learn about coverage, what the benefits are for requiring insurance. But at the same time, we also want to be a platform to you to not only promote, but manage your venue business insurance requirements. And our platform here can be very customized and unique, tailored specifically for your venue. One of our big things that we have that we want to provide to anyone who has interest is dedicated landing pages. And so these are dedicated links for your venue. These can be placed in rental contracts, in emails that you send to venues, or linked directly on your venue's website. When a guest comes to this page, it comes to our platform, but you'll see here, this is a venue that we have partnered with. And so a venue name would be displayed here. Now, our big thing is chat conversational steps to get coverage and ask questions to learn about your policies. And so you'll see here, the messaging can be specifically tailored for your venue, as you'll see here. You can ask questions or get started right away with your coverage. For this demo, we'll get started right now. We do pre-fill it with the required liability limits, which, like I said, currently is $1 million. If there are other limits, we can talk about what your requirements are. You can add cancellation coverage for a package to get a package discount. And if you're not sure, you can go that route as well. But for now, we'll stick with a liability requirement. Now, it does ask if alcohol will be served or not, because that can adjust the price. But once that question is answered, it displays your quote here. It shows what is covered versus what is not covered, the price of the policy, liquor liability included. Now from there, you can continue, have this email to you or learn more about coverage. If you do continue, it goes down the steps to ask about your personal information. Is that, as you can see, it's less than 5 minutes. Because this is a dedicated link for your venue's name and address, and those questions are not asked because it's pre-filled. So it really makes it that much quicker for your guests to get their policy that they need for their event. And on top of that, as soon as the guest purchases their policy and goes through this flow, we would automatically email over a copy of that COI to you at whatever email address you would prefer. Now, not only can you use this platform to get policies, but it can also be used to ask questions. And so, for example, if somebody was wanting to know what is liquor liability, simply ask that in our bot, and you will get a response about what that is. Another big common question that comes up is COVID covered, for example, for cancellation? And as you can see, if you put that in the bot platform here, you'll get a response. And so this platform can be used for those that don't have quite an idea of what policy they're buying, and so they can get that confirmation of truly what policies they're going to get. And so this platform we want venues to be able to use to take the stress out of where to go for insurance, having customers trying to decide what limits are best and things like that. We can pre-fill all of that for you in here, making it a very easy and unique experience for venues and their clients.
Thanks, Mitchell.
Okay, so when a venue is interested in joining up and going with Indemn, what does the process look like for them?
We can share a link, and it's just venue name, venue address, and the individual's name and email, and then we can spin up a page like this. And of course, we've got all the time in the world for our venue partners to answer any questions, provide more information, and customize this page. One other thing to note is we've started with wedding insurance. We've got this full self-serve experience for hosts there, and we're building the event insurance platform. So we can provide same-day service. We can help any of your vendors or other event hosts. And soon enough, we'll be launching a broader event insurance platform in case you were interested in that as well.
Okay, great. So if they want to contact you, we're going to have the links and all of the information in the bottom of the video. We're going to make sure that they have everything they need to connect. We're also I'm going to ask all of the venue owners who watch this, post some of your questions, share your comments. What are some of the things that you're not understanding about insurance? Maybe you're hesitant, or you don't feel like you really understand the difference between event insurance, cancellation insurance, liability. If you're having some confusion like that, Mitchell and Kyle are obviously here to answer questions. You can reach out to them directly. I'm sure they would love that and spend time with you answering questions. But we'd also love for you to drop the comments. You'll see this on YouTube. You'll see this on weddingvenueowners.com. Insurance is one that baffles our venue owners. And you've probably had so much bad information from people who mean well, but who are not experts. And this is why I shut up for most of the conversation when we get to insurance, because I don't ever want to tell someone the wrong thing. And it's really important for our venue owners to get expert advice from people who are experts. I mean, Mitchell being an underwriter with Merkel, and Kyle with you have legacy experience growing up, understanding risk and liability. To have sat around your dinner table, I'm sure that there were some discussions, heartbreaking ones, from your family members that provide insurance and saw people without insurance, or maybe local businesses that they've loved, have insurance issues because they were not properly covered, or somebody gave them bad advice along the way. And it really is heartbreaking to think of our venue owners not realizing some of the risks that they could easily avoid.
It's absolutely true. And it's a complex product. The market's changing, evolving each decade. Saying that's true. And it's important to focus and be specialized in insurance. It's a complex, evolving marketplace, and the coverages can be confusing. And so for wedding and event insurance, we have that focus, and we're happy to serve the event venue owners.
Okay, guys, this was Kyle and Mitchell with Indemn. I'm going to, again, put all of their contact information in there so that you can contact them directly. Please, 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 please do not go another day without making sure that you are reducing the risk and liability for your wedding venue. This is your greatest asset. This is your future. This is your children's college fund. This is your retirement. This is your life right now. I mean, this is your biggest asset, and to have it not be covered and to not protect it for, I mean, the fees on these things are incredibly low, and oftentimes they don't cost the venue anything, especially when it's just a requirement. And think about it, if your clients are paying $10,000 for their wedding, or 20 or 30, some cases we have venues that have $100,000 weddings consistently, a $100 to $300 or more policy is one of the greatest gifts you can give to them as a newlywed couple. They don't want to start their wedding in debt because something unfortunate happened, or and it's also one of the greatest gifts you can give to you, your future self, and your family, to make sure that's protected. So I love you guys. You know, I have such a soft spot for wedding venue owners. I love you all. I want to thank you and appreciate you for listening to these educational videos that we provide. Really take it to heart. If you know other venue owners who are not covered or insured or need expert advice, please share this link with them. Make sure that you're sharing this in your marketing community. Share this with your couples so that they can get a better understanding of why it's so important for them to get this insurance, and to not delay with that, as well as your vendors. And if any of you are getting any pushback in your market, we'd love to know that too, because weddingvenueowners.com and the wedding venue owners community is here to provide you support. You are not alone in setting standards of practice in your market. That insurance, wedding insurance, liability insurance, event cancellation, those types of things are all required. So thank you guys so much for joining me today. I really appreciate your time, and I look forward to some upcoming educational pieces where we can answer questions and go into some of these topics in a little more detail.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Dee Dee. Appreciate it.
Okay, great.